What if I told you, ladies and gentlemen, that all Blueface believed he knew about Chrisean Rock was a falsehood that came directly from his own mother? What if the man who created an entire empire on cloud and chaos suddenly realized that he had been the one being played all along? Because the so-called Chrisean love story just took a turn that no one anticipated, and the streets are talking and the DMs are buzzing tonight, the receipts just struck Blueface, the same guy that pulled Chrisean through every breakup, every headline, and every meltdown. Not just any old TikTok gossip, however. It all began when Blueface took the decision to confront Chrisean. I'm talking concrete, indisputable, ruthless evidence that caused him to pause in the middle of his statement and mutter, "Yo, my own mom did this," to see their child, not for show or influence. However, she didn't scream when he entered. She didn't cry. Those documents were simply slid across the table. What followed? Let's just say that due to those supposedly wild Chrisean moments, Blueface's jaw dropped more forcefully than his previous mixtape tracks. Yes, as it happens, they may have been a part of something far more sinister. He was warned by his sibling. Up to this point, Blueface ignored the supporters' warnings, and everything changed when Chrisean showed him. Now that this is more than just drama, get some popcorn. This is deception, family treachery, and receipts that have the power to instantly destroy a whole reputation. The world of Blueface has completely changed. And believe me, not even his mother can make up a tale this time. The internet, ladies and gentlemen, believed it had witnessed all conceivable Blueface and crisis turmoil. The arguments, the sobbing, the breakdowns in the live stream, the drama involving the baby mama, and even the hospital scenes that seemed like they belonged in a Netflix documentary. However, the most surprising turn in their whole journey may be what just transpired behind closed doors. Because it wasn't Blueface who was exposing people this time. It was him who was being revealed. Blueface finally pulled up to visit Chrisean and their baby after weeks of stress. And individuals believed that this would be another tumultuous reunion. But no, there was more to this, something genuine. It had a different vibe. Instead of yelling or screaming, there was a subdued tension, as if everyone in the room knew something monumental was going to happen. Blueface, who constantly smirks when he's uncomfortable, sat down and tried to look composed. Chrisean, however, wasn't joking. Not even a hello from her. She just slid a stack of papers across from him while staring him in the eyes. "You should read this." Blueface initially dismissed it with a laugh. "What are these court documents again, man?" However, that arrogant smile gradually vanished when he noticed the date, the names, the signatures, the messages, and the screenshots. When Chrisean handed him what weren't just any receipts, his entire body froze. They were evidence of his own mother's deceit. Not only about Chrisean, but also about what actually transpired prior to the public witnessing the mayhem. Blueface Mom had been in contact with several bloggers months before the first public altercation ever went viral. According to these so-called receipts, which some close to the matter claim were taken directly from private family group conversations. Spreading false information, manipulating events, and portraying Chrisean as unstable, dangerous, and even manipulative. All in an attempt to turn Blueface and the public against her. The crazy part comes next. The man who everyone believed was causing drama, Blueface's own brother, had attempted to warn him. "Bro," he had said, "Mom isn't protecting you. She's protecting her reputation." However, Blueface wasn't paying attention at the time. Imagine this then. Blueface is sitting there looking through page after page of texts and screenshots that show his mother telling people she's not the proper person for him and discussing leaking stories. "I'll see to it that everyone sees that." He remained silent for a while, simply gazed at the paper as if it were a terrifying screenplay based on his own life. Chrisean refrained from boasting. She didn't shout. She had known this truth for months, so she simply sat back with her arms crossed and her gaze fixed on him. However, nobody took her seriously. This is when it becomes even more bizarre. These receipts weren't simply digital, apparently. Voice notes were also included. Conversations that were released show Blueface's mother discussing with family members how to manage the narrative by stating that Blueface's career required distance from that girl. "Who means Chrisean you?" she literally said. "If he stays with her, he's done. And I'll make sure everyone sees who she really is." Blueface froze, and you could see the realization hit him like a train. This was the same mother who told him Chrisean was crazy and who appeared in interviews crying and expressed concern for her son. Yes, it is said that the same mother was behind the scenes, pulling strings to turn the world against his child's mother. It was cruelly ironic. Blueface, who trusted just one person, had been making fun of Kian's faith, calling her toxic, and making fun of her suffering through internet clowning for years. Who, in private, was ruining his relationship? Blueface didn't even raise his head when Keeney remarked, "You see it now?" The bit that stings the hardest is when he whispers, "Damn, my brother was right." He had been cautioned by his brother, pointed out to him that their mother wasn't telling the truth. Do you recall the widely shared video from a few weeks ago in which Blueface's brother said that she has been playing both sides from the beginning? Yes, that was more than just brotherly rumors, it turns out. No one wanted to hear the reality that was trying to surface. Blueface allegedly left without saying anything more after that. Instead of shouting or arguing, he simply picked up his phone, took pictures of the documents, and left. That quiet says it all for a man whose entire reputation has been based on being loud and unconcerned. The twist that's making fans go crazy, though, is this. Blueface's mother went live right away after he left Chrisean's place that evening, nearly like she didn't waste time since she knew something was coming. Because the timeline matched too precisely, she said, "People are trying to turn my son against me with fake documents. Y'all know it's real," but the internet wasn't buying it. The match was evident when fans began comparing the recently obtained audios with earlier video of Blueface mom discussing shielding her son from demonic energy. All of a sudden, what had sounded like a mother's worry became to seem like deliberate manipulation. Additionally, Blueface didn't protect her for the first time. He didn't clap back or post anything. He simply fell silent. And no tweet could compare to that quiet. This is where the story's first portion becomes darker, because Blueface became increasingly aware of how far back this went the more he dug. Before Kian became pregnant, before the baby was born, and before the commotion, some of the texts were sent. This had nothing to do with safety. Control was at issue here, and he was broken by that understanding. His mother had been playing the emotional strings, and he was merely following her lead. The man who always stated, "I run my own life," finally saw that maybe, just maybe, he hadn't been in control for a long time. Blueface waited outside his car as the night came to an end, shaking his head and going over the screenshots once again. You could practically see his phone's reflection shining on his face, his eyes weary, his lips quivering, and that mix of bewilderment and remorse. Because he was now questioning himself as much as his mother. And there is where the true turmoil starts. Because not even his brother anticipated what Blueface would do next. Long after the engine had ceased to tick, Blueface sat in his vehicle. He felt as though his thoughts had wandered completely, as if the sounds of the city had been muffled. He was scrolling through texts that broke every illusion he had created, and the same hands that had punched fists, flashed money, and handled microphones on stage were now shaking. He kept replaying the voice notes, the screenshots, and the texts in his mind. The person who had been fueling the fire the entire time was his mother. The person he publicly backed. The person who described Chrisean as unstable and dangerous. And Blueface wasn't angry with Kian for the first time. Since he was aware of what would happen next, he felt ashamed. He would be dragged again by the internet, which would take this, twist it, and make it into a meme. This time around, however, Chrisean was not the issue. It was about his realization that he was mistaken. After reaching for his phone and dialing his brother's number, he heard the voice on the other line say, "Told you, bro." Other line say, "Told you, bro." No argument could ever penetrate the depth of that quiet. Not even his brother's anger was audible. "I'm just disappointed." Blueface didn't even try to deny it when he said, "I've been trying to tell you she'd been moving weird. Mom wanted control. You let her control your bag, your brand, your girl, everything." His brother groaned and he just replied, "Yeah, I see it now. You realize now why I've been having a great time with Chrisean. Despite her imperfections, she is genuine. Mom has been playing with you too." Blueface rested his head on the seat and gazed up at the roof as if it held the answers. He reflected on all of those incidents, including the public altercations, the live streaming, the interviews in which his mother referred to Chrisean as a negative influence, the turmoil that cost him endorsements, his peace, his reputation, and perhaps even the early years of his child's life. All because he had faith in someone who was subtly preparing him for a story. Online rumors that Blueface had completely disappeared began to circulate hours later. No tweets, no Instagram stories, nothing. Nothing but quiet. Chrisean, meanwhile, wrote in a mysterious caption, "God, don't play about me. The truth always is revealed." It became popular in a matter of minutes. Half of the fans applauded her vindication, while the other half couldn't believe Blueface's mother could actually be responsible for the deception. The so-called receipts began to circulate at that point. Leaked audio and text communication pages files spread more quickly than wildfire across gossip accounts. They were called fake by some. Others said that they originated from a family member. However, one thing was evident. It was exactly what Chrisean had privately informed Blueface. Another voicemail purportedly said, "Don't tell him it came from me." And another said, "If he keeps her around, no brand will touch him. She's bad business. We'll leak something if we have to. All I want is for him to wake up." Social media went crazy. The chronology was dissected via Twitter threads. Clips from Blueface's mother's previous interviews, in which she sobbed on camera about wanting to protect her kid, were taken down by fans. Those same video, however, now appeared to be Oscar-worthy performances. Longtime Blueface devotees began to doubt everything. She gaslighted them both for years, according to comments, which explains why Chrisean always appeared shattered. She was engaged in combat. Every platform was overrun by the entire family. And the Blueface brother launched a bomb in the midst of that digital maelstrom. The video became viral in a matter of hours after he went live and said, I told my bro to stop letting mom control his relationships. I love her, but she ain't innocent." She'd been playing the long game. The story suddenly changed direction. Blueface was no longer the bad guy. His mother was. The woman who gained popularity by standing up for him was now being referred to as the puppet master. That evening, Blueface arrived to his brother's house. It was captured on camera. Flashes are going off as paparazzi outside attempt to capture that unique reunion photo. He simply gave his brother a hug without saying anything. They spent hours discussing everything in that one picture of them cuddling, which went viral right away with the phrase, "blood thicker than drama," about how their family was distorted by fame. How their mother was a weapon of allegiance, how Blueface was actually defending someone else's manipulation each time he claimed to be defending his image. Blueface shook his head when his brother added, "You just need to face her. You can still fix this. She will spin it if I turn to face her. She does it every time." However, his brother leaned down and said, "Then don't let her talk. Let her hear you." Blueface did something unexpected the following morning. The internet went into overdrive when he shared a dark screen image with the remark, "Sometimes the closest ones to you play you the hardest. I owe some people an apology." Everyone was aware of the person he was referring to. Chrisean answered with a few 3 words, "Baby, I told you." And that's when he finally understood. The adversary wasn't her. She served as the proof that despite its messy nature, love was never phony. He began to relive every instance in which he had doubted her, each time his mother had warned him, "She's using you." However, he now understood who had been taking advantage of whom. By midday, Blueface's mother responded with a lengthy post accusing everyone of fabricating the information. She said she sent fake communications to ruin a family, but it was too late. Supporters began pointing out contradictions in her defense. Old remarks that matched the disclosed invoices exactly. Some of her admirers even fell silent. Although Blueface didn't reply in public, he was acting in secret. He dispatched someone to confirm the document's legitimacy. And you know what? Every single one of the screenshots and timestamps was verified. At that moment, his entire outlook changed. It was no longer simply about Chrisean. It has to do with his son. He understood that his mother had also attempted to shape the infant's story, whispering to tempting to influence custody negotiations behind closed doors with individuals Chrisean wasn't suitable for. We can utilize the baby scenario to help Blueface stay focused when he reads that paragraph in the documents. He was aware that it was over. He made the decision that he could no longer remain silent at that point. Later that night, he gave his mother a call. There was no yelling match. It was peaceful, silent, and unpleasant. "I saw everything," he continued to her. "The calls, the texts, the things you said that I can't unhear. You know how these blogs twist things? They fake receipts every day," she attempted to add, but Blueface just said, "No, Ma. It's your voice. I know your voice." The stillness on the line was the sound of truth hitting home. When that call ended, Blueface responded, "You didn't save me. You turned me into something I hate." She tried again, saying, "I did what I had to do to save you." Simply sat in his kitchen and gazed at his phone's screen reflection. He wasn't thinking about music, popularity, or viral events for the first time. He was considering whether it was time to provide forgiveness to the person he had wounded the most. Because he was now fully aware of his next course of action, and Kian and their infant were involved. The following morning, Blueface felt as though everything in his universe had been shattered. No entourage, no cameras, no forced smiles, just silence that makes you confront yourself. His mother's messages continued to appear on his screen, unopened and disregarded. Blueface didn't reply for the first time in years. He had no intention of using argument to get out of this. He would do something. His brother arrived early and sat across from him at the table, which was covered in old lyrics and empty bottles. He said, "You ready to fix it?" Blueface, whose eyes were red from lack of sleep, nodded quietly. Softly, "I got to see her," he said. Not to mention the cameras for word spread quickly, and by the afternoon, Chrisean's neighborhood was teeming with fans and gossip vloggers hoping to get a sneak peek at what was going to happen. Everyone was anticipating another Blueface-Chrisean confrontation, the yelling, the chaos, the viral meltdown, but nobody was prepared for what actually transpired. Blueface arrived without a film crew or security, just himself with his hood up and his chain tucked in. "You here to start more drama?" Kian opened the door slowly, without a smile or a scream, just looking at him as if she wasn't sure whether to slam it or let him in. Baby gifts in the passenger seat. As soon as he got out of the car, you could see the nerves. "This wasn't the loud, cocky rapper we've seen on live streams," she inquired, and Blueface shook his head. "No, I am here to apologize and to visit my son." That sentence hit harder than any viral headline. For a moment, it was quiet. Then with that same cold, steady tone, Chrisean said, "You trust me now?" "I saw everything," Blueface said, nodding. "I also heard it. I couldn't see. My own blood played me." Chrisean simply turned without saying anything. You could see it on his face. That realization that he nearly lost this moment forever, as Blueface knelt down and stared at his son for a long time. "I thought I was protecting you," he said quietly, his eyes fixed on his child. "But I was just protecting lies." Inside, the baby was in a bassinet, smiling, kicking, innocent, untouched by all the drama swirling around his name. Chrisean, still doubtful, sat with his arms folded on the couch. "You dragged me through hell for people who didn't even care about us," she stated. "Hell for people who didn't even care about us," she stated. "You allowed your mother to disparage me online and claim that I was insane." Blueface gave a nod. "Although I can't alter it, I can demonstrate to you that I'm done allowing anyone other than us to steer the narrative." Leaning back, she studied him as if she hadn't quite come to terms with the change. "Betrayal cannot be fixed by words." "Blue," she said. He glanced up, his eyes moist, then let my actions do the talking. In an attempt to put a stop to the turmoil, he grabbed his phone and launched Instagram Live. Following the feed's launch, hundreds of thousands have joined in a matter of minutes. Everyone anticipated turmoil, but what they witnessed was unimaginable. The internet became silent for a moment as Blueface stood next to Chrisean, cradling his infant, and said, "This right here is my family, and I owe her an apology in front of the world." You could practically feel the wave of shock. Blueface went on, "You've been witnessing drama, lies, and stories, but you weren't aware of how profound it was. I discovered that the person I most trusted was working against us. My own mother. Furthermore, I will never again permit her or anybody else to play with my family." Fans were incredulous. The live conversation blew up. It was true what he said. No, he yelled at his mother, "This is atonement." Blueface didn't mince words. "I believed lies, so I dragged this woman through agony. I wasted time with my son. I lost myself and my tranquility. However, I'm finished. Now that the truth is out, I support my child's mother." Kian remained silent and composed despite her tears. It wasn't her crying in front of the camera for once. "He was the one." Mid-sentence, his voice broke. "To discover who is truly with you, sometimes you have to lose everything." She was. The internet went crazy when he ended the live stream. Every talk program, blog, and gossip page was analyzing every word. It was dubbed the Blueface redemption arc by some. Some referred to it as damage control. Even the doubters, however, were unable to dispute it. Nobody had ever witnessed Blueface's most unadulterated humanity. His mother, meanwhile, went live a few minutes later in a rage. She said that he was being duped and that he was embarrassing himself. But the audience. The story had completely changed, and for once, the internet was on Chrisean's side. By the following morning, the Blueface team released a statement stating that he was taking time off social media to focus on family and mental clarity. Fans were shocked, as the man who had built an entire identity around chaos was now removing himself from it to fix the situation. According to a source close to the family, who is likely one of those so-called anonymous insiders, Blueface told Chrisean, "I can't undo what I did, but I can prove who I am now." Rumors began to circulate that Blueface's brother had moved closer to help with the baby and that Chrisean's camp was open to restoring trust. This time, there was no rollout, no new song link, no commercial drop, just silence, the type that occurs when someone truly means what they say, and people wondered if it was real or just another PR gimmick. A few weeks later, a blurry picture of Blueface, Kian, and the baby appeared online. There were no cameras, no crew, no drama, just a family trying to breathe again. The fan who took the photo captioned it, "For once, they look peaceful." The impact of that moment went beyond celebrity rumors, and fans began discussing online topics such as forgiveness, family manipulation, and how fame can skew bloodlines. Some even claimed that Blueface's story was a warning that loyalty can blind. He hasn't spoken about her publicly since that day, but the truth always reverberates. According to those close to him, he's been working on a track, a slow, emotional record dedicated to truth, redemption, and bloodlines. If that's the case, it might be the most significant song he's ever released. As for his mother, she's gone mostly silent. Her fan pages went dark, and as the last picture fades, with Blueface holding his son and Kian by his side, both of them quiet for once. You can't help but wonder if this peace will last, or if this is just the quiet before the next storm, because in the Blueface world, truth doesn't stay the same. It wasn't fame, money, or the spotlight that broke Blueface, but realizing that the person he trusted the most was the one who lit the match that burned everything down. The truth that turned Blueface's entire world upside down, ladies and gentlemen, is shown here. From blind loyalty to betrayal, from chaos to clarity, we just witnessed one of the most shocking turnarounds in modern hip-hop drama. However, the real question is, do you believe Blueface's redemption, or do you think this is just another headline before the next meltdown? Because let's face it, in the end, every redemption has a cost. I want to hear your thoughts. Was Blueface really manipulated by his own mother? Or is this all just another masterclass in internet manipulation? Please share your thoughts below as I'm reading every comment. And trust me, the debates are about to get messy. The receipts are out, the damage is done, and the only thing left to see is whether Blueface and Kian can survive the truth that broke them apart. Nothing stays secret for long in this world of clout, lies, and live streams. We have more exclusive updates, hidden receipts, and behind-the-scenes chaos coming your way. So make sure to hit the like button, smash subscribe, and turn on those notifications to see what's coming next. This is the drama the blogs won't tell. I will, but you won't. I will, but you won't.